Welcome everyone again. It's Friday. Thank God for that. I know it's Valentine's Day, but it's also Friday. So welcome to our weekly wrap of what broke in the world of woke. And we are still live, to share your views, send us your topics. Let's unwind as we rewind on the week that we woke together. Now, we've got so many topics tonight. I'll show you them in a minute, but something interesting about the WOMBLES. Yes, the WOMBLES and cancellation. You will get a shock. There's more on the John Barrowman debate. He waded into this week and he looks more angry, and I get it. RTD moonlighting from Doctor Who. Could we read into that? And what's he waffling on about now? David Tennant doing the BAFTAs again. But he's going to tone down the gags because I think he got his fingers burnt last year. And did you know Luke Skywalker's gay? Well, Mark Hamill says so, and William Shatner's kicking off. Oh, there's loads. There's loads. So do enjoy. So make sure you've got a nice drink. It is Friday after all, and enjoy the company of me and my good colleague in a moment as we go over all of this, the week of the woke. And I don't just mean we're going to be looking at Trump's executive orders, but look at you see, I think do you think at last something's happening? Because, yep, you've got Donald Trump in America with certain executive orders that might look tasty. Today, J.D. Vance, the vice president's Munich speech today. I mean, there's starting to be loads of clues that maybe the tide is turning a bit. See what our friend thinks. The queen of the woke, she will tell us about it. She'll chat about it, but she won't be shouting. Here she comes.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
She's
Right.
champing at the bit. I think the tide is turning, Rachel. I do.
Yeah.
I sense
something
it.
going on. There's something definitely going on.
Something. Oh, that sounds like that musical. There's something dirty going on. I remember that, going to see that. Sorry. Anyway, so there's the thumbnail for this week. Oh, it's got a mixture of Disney, I'm a Llama, an interesting looking doctor, the Wombles, John Barrowman, RTD, take your pick. But here we go.
And I, as normal, chat, I don't know everything that has been put into this live stream tonight. So this will be interesting. Live reaction.
Exactly. That's what we want. It's called entertainment.
Yeah.
Grant G wants the Who Pets on. Wait till you see next week. The Who Pets are in the various sins. I'll tell you more as we come to the end of the show about what's happening next week. So what's happening tonight? Well, there's your list, Rachel, to give you your first taste. I'll go big just so you can see. So just so everyone can see the contents for tonight. What will be the wokest of the week? Russell Davies moonlighting from Doctor Who to focus on some dark times drama. Oh God. Doctor Who cancel culture. Well, there's fear here. Barrowman has said more. I'm not repeating what was said last week, but there's more. Worcester City in America is becoming a sanctuary city, whatever that is. We've got the Ramadan event in the UK and cancel culture and whether that's still going ahead with certain messaging that we've heard. Luke Skywalker's gay. Didn't you know that? The Wombles close shave with cancellation. Oh my God. You will not believe it. Sam Kerr, footballer, female footballer, racial aggravated harassment case. Interesting conclusion. Is DEI in retreat? Well, I'll give you Toyota, Disney, and Google as 3 examples. And the Saudi Arabia World Cup in 2033 was very interesting to hear the Saudi Arabian ambassador to Britain saying, we don't compromise our culture. And I thought, God, you'd never hear anyone in Britain saying that. So there you go. That's what we'll be. And a few other tasty morsels as well, Rachel. My God, we'll pack it in tonight.
We certainly will.
So here we go. Here we go.
Yeah.
Thought we'd start with a bit of a jokey one, a bit of irony. That solar-powered chainsaw makes me feel less guilty about clearing trees to make way for a wind farm. I know, because I do think sometimes this net zero is getting a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes, come on, we've only got so much money.
True.
Now, did you enjoy the Super Bowl?
I didn't watch it.
I
Big
didn't
surprise.
watch it, but I did hear.
I did hear about this. Yeah.
I did hear that Taylor Swift heard as well.
Yeah.
Did you see that look to camera when she's going, "Oh my God"?
Yeah. This is like, what just happened? What is this? What is this? She's there enjoying the game and whatever, and suddenly, bam! The camera's on her, and they go, "Ooh,
Whoa.
what?"
Yeah.
bit of a reality check if she's only used to being cheered.
Well, yeah, she's normally in convoys paid for the British government. It sounds like to me when she's over here, she's like royalty. Hasler Scott, good to see you. But the pendulum is swinging back to normalcy. The Wokesters are raging, but no one's really paying a ton of attention. Eventually, they won't be amplified anymore once news peoples realise it's a ratings killer. Well, there's a lot of that tonight, Hasler, and I think Taylor Swift got a dose of it.
Yeah.
Because when you're in a stadium, there is no hiding place.
No.
You can't hide behind all your lovies and your people. You're just with the public.
Yeah.
And they don't know the script.
No.
And she thought she picked the winning side, but in a choice of 50-50, she got it wrong.
She did. Isn't she supposed to be dating one of the team players as well?
Yes.
That's why she was there.
She was there as a supporter. And then, of course, she had to go, "Oh, my God, are they booing me?" Gosh. Yes.
They were.
Welcome to reality. Raymond Williams, I thought RTD was moonlighting all through. We will come to that. Don't you worry. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. Where has he been? So is this a joke that Taylor Swift got booed? What about this joke? I think there's a lot of jokes tonight, it feels like to me. Did you see the Sun? I mean, I don't buy the Sun, but the Minister for Labour, the new health minister, who did say it's okay to identify as a llama. She used it partly as an analogy.
Right, yeah.
But the point was she was making the usual debate that you can declare what you want. You can self-identify.
Pronoun war, basically. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And she made the point that if she decided to be a llama, she still should be respected. And you think,
and then we need to know what her pronouns would be.
Meh.
Meh.
I mean, if you want to be taken seriously, don't use that analogy. I mean,
it's like Piers Morgan saying, "Well, if I want to identify as a penguin," I don't know if you've ever heard that. It was quite a few years ago when the pronoun debate was a really hot topic, and he was just like, "Nah, I identify as a penguin, therefore you have to respect that." No matter what you think of Piers Morgan, I thought that was pretty funny.
There's a lot about now. Michael Herbert, our friend, Trump seems to be reenacting Munich 38 when Britain and France handed I can't pronounce that, but we can see it, to Hitler, who vowed that this was the end of his territorial ambition. A year later, we were at war. Well, yeah, we don't want the tea leaves to read anything dodgy, but the Munich speech today by J.D. Vance I thought was fascinating and brave and well written and well delivered. And when I saw him in the vice presidential debates in America, I was very impressed with him.
Was this a space? What am I talking about? Was this a speech that he did today?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I've missed this because obviously I was at work. So this will be interesting.
It is fascinating. When I mention things, everybody, it doesn't mean I obviously agree with everything they say. I'm fascinated by it being said. And it's a security conference when they normally talk about nuclear weapons and NATO and stuff. And he talked about the biggest danger to our societies in our own countries. We're looking the wrong way, he said. Oh, it was fascinating. And he hardly got a clap because they all were going, they were going, "Oh, we've never heard this before." And he did say Britain and Sweden and Germany and France. He listed so many countries where we were wrecking our own human rights. So, Tim, hello. Adults telling children they are valid as animals is a very unhealthy concept. It makes the adults the children and the children the adults. Look, parents obviously humor, don't they? They humor kids in play. it's play though, but it's not. You don't let it turn into reality. As I hear lots of people saying, the kids can play and pretend they're a unicorn for a minute when they're playing on the floor in the back garden, but when they come to the kitchen and they sit at the table and all the rest of it, they're back to normal. That's what they have to be. You can't be indulging this nonsense.
I
What do
agree.
you think? I mean, you're an actress, but you might have been, you might play a wind one day when you're doing, I don't know, them terrible things you must have to do when you rehearse, when you're practicing to be
I've been a tree,
well.
so yeah, and I had to play a tree, and this was back during my training where you learn how to do that. And basically it was, I don't even know what it taught me. How to use my body. Now
How
I'm
to be
thinking back, this
thick-skinned.
is coming back to it. Yeah, this is going back a while. But yes, you end up doing things, playing characters that you may not want to do, but you know, it is what it is. But then, you have to learn how to switch off from the acting and come back to reality. And sometimes some actors don't actually know how to do that. Sometimes they get very method and they get very into it and they forget to switch off.
So, what's the difference between an actor being method and a 5-year-old being method, being a llama? Where
One
is it?
one is playing.
Sorry, I'm all method, ma'am. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. Sorry, mum. Sorry. I'm all method. This is part of my acting classes when I go to stage school.
Yes, you shouldn't laugh at me because when I'm older, I'm going to win an Oscar.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Are
There
you?
you go.
Well,
Lee Smith identifies as a bonsai.
yeah. Well, I said to Jamie downstairs, I said, I'm going to self-identify as a billionaire. I'll see if it
Oh,
changes my life.
yeah.
You
Has
see,
it?
it's still, look, I know it comes from a serious place, but it's just there's an awful lot of modern language which makes no sense to me. Self identification means you've decided something, but everybody else might think you're deluded. It doesn't work, does
No,
it? It's how people
no,
see you half the time and not
no.
yourself.
And like I feel, the people who are in countries where they have a genderless language, they're very lucky in that sense, because they don't have to think about what pronoun they're going to use. They're not going to be policed on language. They're not going to be told off if someone, quote unquote, misgenders someone.
Yeah.
Whereas here, that will happen.
Yes, and I think that's what JD Vance was picking up on, that we're hammering people over the wrong things, and that bit I did agree with.
I
Uh,
mean, if you identify as non-binary, you can do that amongst your friends if that's what you really
yep,
want to do.
yep, yep.
But you got to remember that the average person in the street does not see you that way.
And Rachel, what I'm fascinated by in this culture we've got now that we're allowing is when I kind of knew I was gay, I was closeted and I
Mm,
wasn't going around announcing it. I
mm,
was really aware that I knew, but I didn't need to tell anyone. I was just going to have to work through life now.
mm,
Whereas I find nowadays, when everybody's talking about dark times and RTD's talking about, oh, it's terrible, this planet at the moment, and people are weaponizing language. Meanwhile, they're all outing themselves all the time. I'm self-identifying as a non-binary, gender fluid. And you're thinking, hold on a minute. I personally was very quiet about that part of me.
mm,
Um, to me, psychologically, to be announcing stuff all the time is brave or forward, or you're certainly not being shy, are you?
mm.
That's what I
No,
don't
you're not.
understand.
I know we're getting to it later, but when they were doing the oh, what was the city in America that
Worcester,
is
Worcester
Worcester?
City.
That's it. I was going to say Wester, but I knew it wasn't right. um, they were. I don't know if you watched any of the video clips, but they were
Yes.
reading off all of these. That I've got Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, I'm autistic, I'm non-binary, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like label after label after label after label.
Yeah. So just
Wow.
so if people are still joining us, this is what we're discussing tonight, just so you can see. I like to signpost for you. So the next tiny item, as we're warming up, I think people know what we do now. We just warm up on these items, and Russell Davies is coming up soon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this is the Chelsea strike. I know you're not, into this football, but this will be enough for you. You can see this, but Chelsea striker Sam Kerr has been found not guilty of causing racially aggravated harassment. Right? So you think, gosh, this is a bit serious. What happened? Now, all you need to know is that the footballer called a Met police officer stupid and white, and yet was cleared of any racial aggravated harassment. And and
Oh,
the thing about this woke culture is it does seem to be sometimes double standards are applied.
yes. If that had been the other way round, you know what would have happened.
I've never dared cheek a copper. I mean, I'm sorry. In
Nor have
all
I.
my 50 odd years, I've never dared cheek a copper at a match or anywhere. And for somebody to say you're stupid, I mean, forget the declaration of skin color, but to call a copper stupid, I think that
Yeah.
I think they'd rather they'd have dealt with me. Honestly, I can't believe
Straight up.
this. Yeah.
Straight up. I was weirdly, it just made me think of something that happened yesterday. I was cycling through the high street where I live and I was working, but I saw 4 police cars and a riot van. All these police surrounded one person. One person. I don't know what he did, but he was white, but I don't know what he did. But whatever it was, apparently, according to the police, he was not helping himself. And they were going to put him in the back of the riot van.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I must admit, and I think tonight I've got so many examples, and some of them we'll spend time on. There's your Worcester City one. So if anybody hasn't seen this, I'll just show you. There's a couple of slides, and then we'll have a little word about it. In America, this is Worcester is a sanctuary city for transgender community. Now, half the time I've got no issue with it's not the trans thing I've got an issue with. It's just that surely any city is going to be hopefully safe and secure for everybody. Never mind, it's like,
Yeah. That's what you'd hope.
and there's one of your people who participated in this vote.
Yes. There's a drag queen, apparently, with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, autism,
Oh,
and some other things.
and so we've had universities talk about safe spaces. We've got Worcester City now declaring a city being a sanctuary city for transgender.
Yeah.
And you know what? When I referred to me being in the closet all those years,
Yeah.
I never heard any town or city or office or room declaring itself gay safe, ever. And neither did I need it.
No, I didn't hear any of that growing up.
Nah.
Nah.
So what I learned was, it's a new philosophy I've got: resilience and navigating your own way.
Yeah. I think that's, well, isn't that what people would normally do?
Yeah. Honestly, please.
And look at the sign behind that person.
Yeah.
ICU, silence equals death. And I'm guessing that is making a dig at Trump, because they think for some reason that Trump is going to erase all of them. I don't know where they got that from.
Well, you and I
But
both know the crucible. Hysteria. And I am going to say it's hysteria because it's sad, and it
is,
is
yeah.
a shame. And we mentioned that bishop, the Washington bishop, who told off Trump, really, because she said there were so many people worried about what Trump was going to do. And I have looked carefully. There are things that Trump says that might be seen as provocative, very clearly, on different fronts, and some things that are just downright wrong. But I've not heard him say the trans community are going to be eliminated or taken away, or any of their rights taken away. I've never heard that.
heard him say that. Never. And I think that if he was going to do it, he would say it. Because he's not, it doesn't strike me as a sort of politician that sort of like does things half-hearted, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, he's certainly gone in and changed a lot of things and that he said he was going to do.
Well,
I I really just want to ask these people, though, like, you've just had 4 years of the Democratic Party, right? But
Mhm.
before that, you had 4 years of the Republican Party with Trump in power. Like, how did you survive last time if this is such a drastic difference this time?
I know, and that look, they're in public, dressing how they want,
Yeah.
speaking up. What's the difference when I was closeted? I mean, I honestly think, gosh, you've much further advanced than I was, and you seem to think the world's against you. So
Mm,
what was I in a dark time by just being closeted? I mean, come on, let's think this through. I really don't.
mm.
As
You were in
Tim,
the dark ages, Brendan.
yeah, as
Mm.
Tim Kin says here, apart from, on our last one, the Sam Kerr,
Right, yeah.
apart from everything else, the stupid and white moment is such a reminder of how commonly people from minorities think and speak if they're native population, and how no worries about that
Yep.
prejudice. The thing is, Tim, I'm going to just widen the debate and just say I was taught to respect everybody
Yeah.
and to respect authority like the police. And so therefore I'm calling Sam Kerr out there just on that. Because I'm sorry, I would have been arrested for that sort of comment.
Yeah.
So I don't know what.
Me too.
So I don't get it. That's all. And it's got nothing to do. I don't even have to go into skin color. Why anyone brings up skin color is beyond me. Supposed to be. It's not supposed to be relevant.
Mm.
Raymond. She was filmed saying it and still got off. Tried to blame the police officer, saying he wasn't offended when it happened.
Mm.
Oh well, as you know, now I mean, yeah. Nowadays, it's whether people perceived hurt and all the rest of it. So anyway, there's our Worcester City, not Worcester City in Britain. I'll remind everybody. Now, I'm just doing a quick follow-up, Rachel. This
Oh.
it says now in a Daily Mail online, it says Kanye West and Bianca Censori are splitting, but then I also saw a release a bit later saying no, they're not. But you did say last week the body language was fascinating.
Yeah, I did find it fascinating. And actually, since that event, there was a video from the behavioral arts, I think he's called, talking about that particular thing. I actually would recommend going to watch that. Actually, it's fascinating. But yeah, I didn't think she looked particularly happy, but he made clear that she had a modeling background. So when the clothes came off,
Yeah,
right, she
yeah.
went into that sort of zone, and he found pictures of where she has actually posed nude before. So it's not something that she's not used to. So, he suspects that might have had something to do with it, but it's, yeah. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
As RP, sorry, as RP is just saying here, wasn't there something about the US Army referencing LGB rather than LGBT? Yes. Do you know, RP, I could go on all night. The amount of evidence I have to kind of put back in the bin because there's just so much. I've got loads of examples, but yes, that is another one.
Yeah.
Yes, it's getting pushed back. Now, did you see this, Rachel, and the thread? I'll go big again. This is from a tribunal. So this doctor was asked, so you are a man and you wish to be seen as a woman? And the doctor says, there are lots of questions there, one at a time. So, okay, you are a trans woman, not a cis woman. Yes. You don't have a female body. That has no definition. I'm female and I have a body, so I'm biologically female. And did you see, Rachel, that? Did you see the doctor?
No. Oh my God.
That's him. Her, sorry. I don't want to be accused of
Well,
misgendering.
I would I wouldn't blame you for misgendering, so to speak, because well, that's blatantly and obviously a biological man.
But the question, and he's a doctor, remember,
Mm,
because he complained about a nurse having a
mhm.
problem with him or her, sorry, being in a female space. Respect that. Remember, he's asked or she's asked, or it's very confusing this, and I'm not trying to misgender, it's just complicated, isn't it? You don't have a female body.
Mm.
That has no definition, says the doctor. I'm female and I have a body, so I'm biologically female. There you go. That's a doctor who's complaining about a nurse who is a woman saying, I just want women in all women's spaces, please.
And that's where you start blurring the lines of reality because of numpties like this. And that's me putting it very politely.
But the world's gone mad. In today's show already, Rachel, I've shown you the health minister going on about a llama. Yeah, if you self-identify as anything, you must be respected. And now
Yeah,
you've got a doctor who
yeah.
looks like a prime specimen of a man saying he's a
But
woman and I need to go in a woman's space.
this is the issue with self-identification,
Yeah,
isn't it, really, if you think about it? I mean, like, if he were sorry, she, right, they, I don't know, I'll say it, biologically man,
it's hard, isn't it? It's hard, yeah.
it's very hard, but if he went into a space following my niece, I wouldn't be happy with that. I would stop that doctor immediately.
There's still a problem. And what we're saying tonight, there is nuance. I'm not challenging a trans person who has been surgically, uh,
Mm,
changed and all the rest of it. And I know it must be so hard for them.
yeah.
I'm not challenging any of that. But what I am also doing by respecting a trans woman, I'm also respecting women's right to privacy.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what you should be respected, and the other way around in many respects. You apply it one way, you got to apply it the other. Um, I think. Oh, I've lost my trail of thought. Oh no.
Well, my mum, I was talking to my mum about this, and she was saying, and she said, my mum, and she just said, Brendan, when we're in an all-female space, she said, you see people with scars. She said, you can see we've
Mm.
had lots of cesareans and mastectomies and everything. She said, and there's everything else. She
Ah,
said, women need space.
they do need space. Look, that I follow. A lot of people think I'm transphobic, but I actually follow quite a lot of trans people, and there's one that I've been following since early days transition.
Yeah,
Okay. And I've watched her go from looking very much like a man and gradually becoming over time because she's making that effort
yeah.
to visually transition. And she's made so much progress. It's unbelievable. And she's got some other things that are coming up this year to help with her transition. But from where she started to where she is now, oh my goodness, amazing. Amazing
Yeah,
transformation. Making the effort. And, she can go into a, a, a female space almost undetected, so to speak,
yeah.
whatever. But then, like, there are other trans creators who would not go when they're in the gym, even though they might have their gender recognition certificate or something like that.
Mm,
They will not
mm.
go into the female space. They
There's
will go into the male space, even though they look visibly female.
I think I could apply a universal thread to all of these things, without, because
Yeah.
people need to hear that there needs to be a collective respect for everybody,
Mm,
even though because you're asking people to respect your
yeah.
self-identification, but then you're not respecting
Yeah.
somebody else who should have equal respect. It's just got to be done carefully.
Also, has this doctor been diagnosed with gender dysphoria or is it autogynephilia?
Or is it transphobic to say he's got that when he knows he's a she? And,
Yeah,
and you know,
yeah,
and David Harding there, he's joined us again. And
yeah,
if this person, a doctor, sees himself as being a woman, I'm okay with that, and I am too. It's not an issue. The issue is, but it imposes on a woman feeling a bit uncomfortable in a woman's space. That's the issue. But that person cannot expect the rest of us to see the woman in him when, as Brendan said, he looks like a man. And I don't want to be rude, but I think he's still got all his male faculties, so to speak. And a woman might, I say might, I think I've got a better probability than that,
yeah, yeah,
might feel affronted
yeah.
or uncomfortable or unsafe.
Especially dressed like that.
Yeah.
That to me suggests this is a kink.
Well, you may say that. But the thing is, you're a doctor and she's a nurse, and you've got
Yeah.
work to do, and she's probably wanting to getting changed, and I think she has a right to say, "I don't feel safe." Isn't it weird, Rachel? I just don't get this world of woke. University students want a safe space. Worcester City want a transgender sanctuary city, but a nurse, a woman, can't say, I feel unsafe. Why? Why is that?
Because they'll get censored.
Is it because we is it because we aren't allowed to all have the same kind of respect level, you know? So, on to the first Doctor Who item on the track here, everybody. Cancel culture is something I think is quite oppressive and is a bit too permissive and actually may make no sense. And in the meantime, might infantilize a lot of us who can know that something's been made or painted or written by somebody who wasn't brilliant or was even a criminal, but the work still can be allowed to stand. Fear Her, as you know, was taken off iPlayer.
Yeah.
They took Hugh Edwards away.
Yep.
He had committed a crime, and then they put, I think it was a female broadcaster actually, over. Then they found out today that apparently there was a little bit of Hugh Edwards still left, and they've taken it, I understand, back off again. But my question still stands. So what? To me, the issue is Fear Her is one of those lame Doctor Who stories from New Who anyway. Whether Hugh Edwards or anybody else is commentating for seconds neither changes the story, affects the victims of any crime that's been committed. It doesn't change anything. It's just my version of pretending we've done something worthy and we've purified the planet or something. But somebody, after my detox today, when I mentioned this, and I wish I could remember who it was, and I apologize, made a brilliant point. And Rachel, I think this nails it. Let's just imagine, well, Fear Her is a good example, actually. Fear Her was made, and everybody who made Fear Her, they're checked wasn't a criminal, right? So we make the program. 20 years later, somebody on that program who made it behind the scenes or something was found to be a criminal who'd committed a crime after. So do we take the program off? Because this is ridiculous.
Well, why would you?
We see they seem to be obsessed with this kind of let's purify. I mean, if you heard if you heard Hugh Edwards for the seconds on this.
It's only a few seconds, isn't it?
Yeah. But does it matter? You could actually, we're all adults. I can say, oh, well, that's it.
Could they not cut it that little bit? Or could they not reshoot it with a different person?
They've kind of done that with this other broadcaster. But as I say, Rachel, once you start doing that, oh my God, you could start just changing everything. I get it with who, the child's TV presenter from the 70s, who committed evil, vile crimes against kids. And I get that if you showed an example of him on Top of the Pops or something, that might hurt the victims who are still around. I get that. And I think it would hurt even more if somebody from that man's family might get royalties. But I don't really get how we have to purify everything. As Dread Newt says here, the cancel culture only works one way if you agree with their politics. So there's an element of that. I mean, if a crime is a crime, of course. A crime is a crime. But with cancel culture, as you're saying, Dread Newt, and we've discussed on here, people are getting cancelled when there's been no proven crime. It's just suspected or alleged. And I disagree with that because I really did think one of the things we all had to believe in is you're innocent until you're proven guilty.
Yeah. That seems to be what's going on.
Yeah. Now, obviously, Hugh Edwards was banned to rights on this. I mean, that's undoubted.
But the thing is about pulling something like this off the air is depending on what these people have within their contracts. If it's pulled off the air, then that affects everyone else's contracts and rights to royalties as well.
I know.
They pulled off the air, pulled off the iPlayer.
That's the only thing where I can understand a bit of cancellation if it's just cancel the royalties. Because if you've committed a crime, you shouldn't be getting money. You know what I mean? I'm saying it's tough. It's a consequence. but I don't think you're doing anything. Taking them off. Say you've committed a crime
Yeah.
and you're in a program.
Yeah.
Taking you out that program doesn't improve the program. It doesn't take away the pain or the suffering of any victims at all. It still happened. So I don't know what it's proving. What it is doing is it's taking away the right of any audience member to make their own mind up and to be able to absorb things that not everybody was a nice, not
Yeah.
everybody was a lovely person.
True. True. And just because, Hugh Edwards is in it doesn't mean to say that I will stop watching it. I mean, I hate to think what's going to happen when that comes up to the vote on my YouTube channel,
Yeah,
if ever it comes up for the vote.
yeah. David Harding, I'm not sure this is woke. This is a company that's afraid of backlash that may never come because it has a minuscule bit part in the story. I think it's an overreaction. But isn't that in
Yeah.
a way? I know woke has lots of definitions, and I think we all make our own definition now. I don't even try to define woke now. I think we all understand it's kind of a sensitivity. It's
Yeah. You can preempt something and then automatically just dive straight into cancel culture. For example, you this particular platform that we're streaming on
yeah.
demonetized a certain comedian immediately before knowing any sort of evidence as to what these allegations actually were. I'm not going to mention that comedian on this particular
Yeah.
live stream because obviously that will not help your channel. But if you go to my channel, you can dig through and have a look. I've covered it in the past, but they automatically demonetized this particular comedian. And so a lot of people had to take to Rumble to watch that comedian's those videos. But they just automatically think, okay, these allegations have come to light. Don't necessarily announce that they're guilty, but because of these allegations, we need to be seen to be acting and doing something. And then it may just prove to be false. Like I've said in the past, Johnny Depp is a really good example of that. Kevin Spacey is also a good example of that.
But meanwhile, you're destroying the person.
Yeah. And then can they build their careers back up after that?
And there's John Barrowman, who is fighting his own corner because nobody else is, and going on his own tour, hoping that people go and pay, and then he can speak up on behalf of himself since he's so cancelled off the TV. And yet, has he been in a court? Has he been arrested? No.
No, they're just making it difficult for him to make money. I'm sure he's probably got enough money to last him a lifetime, but they just don't want to be associated with that.
But Rachel, the irony on ironies is all these people who do this all talk about kindness. Yeah. There's no kindness inside.
No, that's the ironic thing behind all of this. Kindness, show kindness, and then the moment something goes their way.
Oh, no. Very unkind and cruel, almost, you could argue. James here. Hiya. Brendan, that's a really good way to handle it.
Yeah.
Convicted, show stays up, no royalties for you. Great common sense plan.
Yeah. That way no one else is affected.
Should we have the adults in the room, please? It might help. And actually, it is possible. Can I just say something that's really dangerous? That actually there will be works of art out there made by people who weren't nice.
That's true. That's true. I also wonder with this particular one, because it is now back on iPlayer, isn't it?
Well, it came back up, and then I heard somebody today say it's been taken off because there's a tiny bit of Hugh Edwards left. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, either or. I wonder maybe if the Actors Union had something to say about taking that down. I haven't checked any of their posts recently, but it just makes me wonder.
Farsight is thinking it was a different presenter. No, not that one. I won't do guesses, but yeah, I know I can name some of these people. It's allowed. You can still name people, but sometimes you don't want to give them any credit at all. They should have a disclaimer. Now, we're discussing disclaimers tonight as well. My God, you're hitting all the topics. Disney's got this new content disclaimer as well.
I've got something on Disney that you might find interesting. I never sent it to you. I forgot.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we'll share that.
You might even have it. You might even have it.
Never know. There should have been a disclaimer similar to this features outdated values, but saying this program features a charged offender who we protected for several decades. Well, yeah, I mean, they're trying to clean up afterwards. David Harding, that is important. It's one thing if he's had his day in court and he's been found guilty, but if it's alleged at this point, then we have to be fair. You'd only what do they always say? Treat somebody as you'd like to be treated. Well, I'd like to think people would treat me fairly until I was proven guilty.
100%.
Otherwise, it's not fair. I don't like unfairness. I hate it. Now, RTD, our favourite showrunner, our saviour of Doctor Who. Oh, all praise the great one. All praise the great one.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. Oh, we can't cancel RTD. He's too important to our Whoniverse. Well, he's moonlighting, Rachel. He's moonlighting.
Shock horror.
What I'm trying to work out, Rachel, is in his rush to do those 2 seasons of Doctor Who in a very short period of time, plus the 5 episodes with Pete McTighe of the spin-off, he's done another 5 episodes for a different show. I mean, this man is, you could say prolific, but you could say, is this quantity versus quality?
Oh, well, I don't know. It depends on whether or not it's going to be the same old drivel that we've been getting for the last few years.
Well, you see, Doctor Who is more of a family show. As some people said, he's better at the adult drama. Philip Morris said that on our channel a few weeks ago, didn't he? He said he's better at the adult drama. Now, here we go again. It'll be a series with vibrant characters and underscored with Davies' trademark wit and deft humour. You know, the bit with the bogies and the snot and the nappies, that wit and deft humour, yeah?
Yeah.
An urgent yet gripping tale. Oh my God, this is urgent. We must make this soon. Oh God, I think the world must be in peril. That brings a spotlight, Rachel. I hope he's going to make you see something you haven't seen before.
I'm sure.
On the re-emergence of an incipient threat. Oh, well, you see, remember, I was closeted, so I'm going to really relate to this, I think. Oh, and apparently 25 years later, the team behind the groundbreaking Queer as Folk are returning to Manchester and that street again with this vital story that speaks not just to the queer community, I hate that word, but to the world today. So it's an honor to do this, but then look at that. This is a show I had to write because the world is getting stranger, tougher, darker, and frankly, the fight is on.
That sounds a bit fear-mongering.
Hysterical.
Hysterical. Drama. I mean,
and as I said earlier today, there was an AIDS crisis in the 80s. He wrote it to Sin very well on that one. The AIDS crisis was a dark time for a lot of people, right? A lot of dying and death and everything.
Yeah.
And third world spread everywhere. We had the Cold War, we had the Blitz and the Second World War and the Holocaust. I mean, should we just list some dark times? Now, I'm sorry, but when he says these are darker times, I'm thinking, you need perspective, mate.
Yeah. Is it dark times for the minority or is it for everyone?
Or a very particular minority. I just think, sorry, mate, come on. I will never say to you, Rachel, not once will I say I had a hard time because I was ever because I was gay, ever. But I never actually felt that. I was cautious, but I got on with life.
Yeah.
Still lived it. So I don't get this. Now, of course, what's the plot about? There's a little bit here on the first column. So it's a 5-part series. We follow Leo and Clive, who live next door to each other in Manchester. Leo runs a bar on Canal Street. Clive's an electrician with 2 teenage sons. But just as life should be settling down, the world around them is growing more tense. Words become weapons, opinions become radicalized, and gradually 2 neighbours become deadly enemies in a tense suburban thriller which challenges everything we consider to be safe.
Is this trying to reflect any fears that are going on in the LGBTQ. Gosh, how long is that going to get? Plus community.
But
Because they're all saying, "Oh, we're scared, we're scared, we're scared."
Listen, one of the words that was used against me was the word queer, and now they're using it back. This thing about words have become weaponized. Again, it depends which words you're talking about, because there were certain words applied to all of us, and we just got on with it, to be quite honest. Or you give a load of mouth back. You know that we can be called dinosaurs.
Yeah.
We can be called bigots.
Yeah.
We can be called lots of things to our faces, even by our prime minister. But that's not words being weaponized because RTD's on that side of the fence.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
It will tell it one-sided, I'm sure. That's just, well, I don't know until you really see it, but
No.
I'm sure that it will go one-sided because, in the Star Beast, that was pretty one-sided, wasn't it?
But you see, this is it. He thinks he's got the zeitgeist on culture and fighting somebody's fight. It's quite easy, Everybody has to have the starting premise that everybody is respected. If we follow that through, the fight's won. But if you start saying, I'm only fighting for this community and against that community, you're going to get a backlash, mate. Does he not understand psychology?
Of course, there will be a backlash. I can imagine that happening.
I mean, what I'd like to see is J.K. Rowling in a room on a big discussion debate with RTD sat there and she's sat there. I mean, it would be fascinating.
She'd win, wouldn't she?
Because because the way he talks, he says the fight is on, and I'm thinking that's quite provocative talk.
He's quite childish in the way he talks as well, isn't he? Sometimes.
It's I would call it incendiary. I would call it sometimes unnecessary. A good politician, a good diplomat wants to build a bridge, but he sounds as though he wants to burn it.
Of course he does, because we don't have the right view.
No, and so bye-bye. That's called divisive, RTD. It's not inclusive. You're failing on your DEI.
If he tells it from both perspectives, from our perspective and his side's perspective, and from like the far right perspective, covers all ground, then he could have a brilliant drama on his hands. But only if he did that.
Yeah. I mean, there were some guesses today, and they're educated guesses saying, look, you've got 2 teenage sons, and then you've got a gay or trans person living next door. You know what's going to happen here. The dad of the teenage kids is probably not going to be on the same side as them, and there's going to be something going on here. Or one of the teenage sons, because RTD is obsessed with having a 15-year-old going down Canal Street. He wanted a 15-year-old trans character, and he wanted a 15-year-old Charlie, was he? Charlie Hunnam, wasn't he? Who was the 15-year-old in Queer as Folk. He seems to go for an age which is against the law. Talons of Wayne Cheyenne.
Interesting.
Does he give any specific examples of the incipient threat or the stranger, tougher and darker world? Or is it all just imagined fear-mongering? I think I refer you to what Rachel said, yes, when she thought the same. And I also think it is the latter. Because he's done it in... Rachel, he said this about Doctor Who last year. He said that we need an emotional doctor because of these dark times.
Yeah. And look what that happened. That didn't come out right. Look what happened there.
Yeah.
That didn't go down well, did it?
Audience appreciation in the gutter. People not watching.
Sorry, that's a really loud motorbike if you hear that.
Now it's called Tiptoe. It's called Tiptoe. So it's going to be a thriller. So it has to be only on one side in the end, doesn't it? I mean, let's be honest. There's going to be an evil on one side and a victim on the other.
The victim will probably be the trans character.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because they always fear that intimately. That's what they always say.
But the other thing is, Rachel, we as Doctor Who fans can join. Have you ever done Dr. Dot? Yeah. Because Star Beast,
Yeah.
dead naming. I'd never heard of that phrase in my life because
Yeah.
I've just got on with life. I haven't been living this agenda. So, Donna Noble saying, they shouldn't be calling you Jason. And then I heard that dead naming was a thing.
Yeah.
Didn't even know about that. And there's me, who'd been a teacher in schools with some trans kids, and nothing. What dead naming had never been said. Anyway, now it's a thing.
Yeah.
So I'm reckoning if he was bothered about dead naming and he thought I need to show a positive trans character, so she's dealing with all the what the shop was it all the shoplifting in Catford
Yeah. Yes.
with
Yeah.
unit.
Yes. That's
so,
it.
so here we go. I've actually been spending a lot of time in Canal Street recently, he says, because I think it's about time that I wrote about it again. He's been clubbing. That's what he means.
Yeah.
When pressed about whether there was some TV ideas percolating, Rachel, I've been night clubbing for days. It's research. It's research.
Clubbing at his age, really?
I know. I call it perfect. Yeah. With the world getting madder and madder with trans rights, queer rights, gay rights, women's rights. I think it's called human rights, RTD.
Yeah, I think so. That's the collective.
Yeah, it's called us. It's like we're all arguing with each other. Oh, RT, can RTD go timey-wimey and take the TARDIS to a time when we didn't ever argue? When did society never argue?
There is always a debate.
Yeah.
There always is, There is. Sorry, I have nothing else to say to that. There is.
So if our great showrunner of Doctor Who, the family drama, and now this drama, said, I've been going to Canal Street in Manchester quite a lot. Very metropolitan, may I say. Very, very niche, may I say. I don't think I'd feel comfortable there now. He went there to get the temperature of the place, and I discover it's still the same old place. If he's been hanging around in that vibe, then his perspective is going to be a bit skewed.
Yes, I would say so.
You
don't think it's going to be a rehash of
no,
something that he's written before?
Although
that's all he spent the last series of Doctor Who actually doing, was rehashing a lot of what he did with the character of Rose.
Yes. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it was Drain and Dan said today on the Detox that he is a one-trick pony, and I think I've seen a lot of people tweeting the same today. That he's been found out. Really, he's been found out. And Rachel, he's done some good dramas. I was mentioning Cucumber. The scene. I mean, if you're going to scare people, the scene where a gay man is beaten to death with a golf club by another gay man frightened me to death. Why are we going there again? We're not in that place. Now, if you want to talk about certain things going on in our culture which might endanger gay people, I'm up for the fight, but I think he'll find he's on the wrong side of it.
Yeah.
I might be bringing that up later. Anyway, Jane Tranter, she did actually tweet. She's excited and she's happy and terrified for this. Hurry up and get it on our screens, please. And then he says to Jane Tranter, and I'm hurrying back to you. So, of course, Doctor Who is safe. I think they're just trying to mess with us, aren't they?
No. I would say, when does anyone know when he was commissioned to do it? Because he's been focusing on series 3 of Doctor Who.
That's what he said, yeah.
That's what he said, right? But suddenly the set's been pulled down. Everything's been pulled down from at Bad Wolf, and they're advertising their space. And the next thing we know, he is talking about doing this new one. And they haven't started casting it yet, which makes me think that he's still writing it.
So this is his pension plan away from Doctor Who?
Yeah, if he ever retires.
I'm just thinking because I remember there was that rumor about Disney and him having creative tension. We know that Gladiators has been given another season just very quickly. White Lotus, I love that drama, has been given another season already before we see the next season, because the chief executive of that company just loves it. You can commission stuff fast.
Yes.
Meanwhile, we all know season 3 has not been mentioned at all. Russell Davies says, "Oh, it's okay. I'm typing away at home. Season 3s are getting typed." That doesn't mean anything.
Mm.
But then suddenly we hear this. But remember, there was also that rumor that some people were saying out there that because of the creative tensions between Disney and RTD over Shooty's selection or characterization, that they might have to give him an out.
Mm.
So, as you know, they don't move you downwards, these lovies. They move you upwards and sideways and out.
Yes.
Now, is this the beginning of the moving out of RTD?
It's possible. It's very possible. Or it could just be that they've not been given the go-ahead. Or not given the go-ahead in enough time. So he's just gone and taken another job. Which, common sense-wise, common sense would dictate, yeah, absolutely, 100%. Go and take another job if you've not heard anything. There's no point in sitting around doing nothing, is there?
Or has he become a hot potato?
Well, maybe.
You know, too hot.
You never know. We could debate this.
I
You
know.
don't know until
But
we
with
find
this
out.
strange, sinister in cancel culture we've got nowadays, where if you're associated as a problem or with a problem, bye-bye.
Yeah,
Now,
bye-bye, you're gone.
he's been very powerful and popular with the media lovies, but even he, because we've got David Tennant to mention tonight, even he might have to realize he has to pull back.
Yep.
It's fascinating. I mean, there's nothing about that series that's been mooted there that tells me it's something new. It just tells me here we go again. But instead of it being a gay 15-year-old, it'll be a trans 15-year-old going out with a man next door. Therefore, you've got intergenerational, because he always does intergenerational.
He does, yeah.
Which again is I find it. I mean, I know it happens, but it's problematic in other ways, I have to say. But here we go. Now, John Barrowman, our sequel to last week, he was on Jeremy Vine on 5 this week.
Oh.
And he gave an interview. I have to say, Rachel, I know you'll have been working, but he came across as a bit more angry and clear about issues. And I get it. You know, when you just think, do you know what? I've got nothing to lose and I'm going to be a lot less diplomatic.
Yeah. I've seen that. I can completely understand that. If you've already been cancelled, you're not going back to somewhere like the BBC, you might as well just say it. You might as well just say it.
And so it's a very dangerous thing, this cancel culture, because once the person's cancelled, they can come out fighting.
Oh, yeah. Obviously, if he's signed like an NDA, he might not be able to go into full details, but he can certainly make his feelings known.
Well, as people are starting to say, and Philip Morris here himself, John Barrowman's controversy makes Jeremy Vine on 5. Could the truth about what really went on behind the scenes of RTD1's Doctor Who and what made Chris Eccleston walk be rising to the surface at last?
Well, I hope so. I mean, I don't know what John said on Jeremy Vine's show, but I heard what Chris Eccleston has said.
Yeah, and it wasn't diplomatic.
And no, it wasn't. And he rarely sort of speaks out like that, does he? I mean, not that I've seen. It's very unusual for him to do that. So if he's saying that, which goes against the grain of what he would normally say, that's suspicious.
Yeah. And of course, it's been conflated with another celebrity.
Yes.
Because and actually John Barrowman's weighed into that by saying, ITV, you're complicit in creating what you've created.
Well, yeah. And what they've said here, that is true. They've had him butt naked.
Yeah. And laughed about it.
I think it was Good Morning, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And all he was wearing was an apron.
Yes.
And laughed about it.
Yeah. Philip Schofield, who is openly gay now, played along with it, but Holly Willoughby had to put up with that.
Yeah.
In the workspace.
Yeah.
Do you know, isn't it funny? There is a thing tonight, Rachel, in the end, it's biological men making women feel uncomfortable in their workspace.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness.
So Eastland Burkholder.
Not fair.
Yeah, no, it's not. Oh, they always say equality for women, but as soon as a woman says, I'm not comfortable, they say, aye, shut up. Relationships with a very different level of power or prestige between them two parties can be easily become or start out as abusive and there's lots of
yeah.
words for it, Eastland Burkholder. He's got to be careful. We mentioned, on this show last week about talking about people you've selected. You can't do it. So
Yeah, and it's especially here in the UK where we've got like things like contempt of court. If anything is going into court, we're tied. We can't say anything because otherwise that can get that case thrown out of court.
yes, yeah. So the former Dancing on Ice judge, John Barrowman, has faced his own inappropriate behaviour allegations, and he defended Gino D'Acampo and slammed ITV for sexualising his character as the TV chef. Faces over 40 odd allegations of sexually inappropriate behaviour spanning 12 years.
Yeah.
Do you know the other thing, Rachel? ITV will have known, won't they? Because but you see, this is the virtue signalling progressives for you. They know, but as soon as somebody calls out the hidden secret, they then suddenly go, right, bye-bye, you're cancelled. They knew all along, and this is what I mean. Why should I listen to these people? It's double standards, double standards, double standards.
Yeah. Who was it? Johnny Rotten. Johnny Rotten pulled up the BBC on a certain person, and he got not blackballed, blacklisted. Sorry, get there in the end. Blacklisted from the BBC and never went back. Pretty much, yeah. So as soon as something goes, someone pulls it up. That's it.
So they're all in on the lie, but they outwardly tell everybody else not to be this, not to be that, and to be this amazing person, and to preach and to espouse DEI and other things in their advertising and everything. But they know that they are doing things that may get them into trouble. And as soon as somebody actually says it, maybe like Chris Eccleston, maybe like somebody else, bang.
And is it always possible in the case of with what's going on with Gino and the fact that they made him on daytime television pose nude? Is it possible that he might have, and I'm just saying possible because obviously don't want, to make it sound like he is innocent, all right? Is it possible that he may have misinterpreted and think, okay, this is an appropriate way to behave?
But isn't it funny? I mean, there's parallels, and then there's things that I mentioned. John Barrowman in his character with that Trini and Susanna robot had to be naked.
Yeah.
And that was in the script.
Yeah.
And it's just fascinating that, this morning make their chef do a day when he's naked behind an apron. And then, and remember, they've just recently given him family fortunes. So considering he's only a chef, they've given him family fortunes. They have been promoting him. And then suddenly somebody's opened their gob and the pack of cards has collapsed.
Yep. Yeah. It's scary stuff, isn't it?
It's too easy for them to cancel. That means they're new. It's too fast.
Yeah, they would know something if they cancel that.
I think John Barrowman has said this, that he's disappointed at the lack of loyalty from RTD and others who we thought were friends. There's no friends, it seems to me, in this industry. They're your best pal.
They're elitist snobs. Sorry, but they are.
No, that's
so clique.
Yeah, you're my best friend, darling, until you're not in. Yeah,
exactly. And it's who you know. And the moment you're a problem, that's it. Gone. Finished.
So it so happens so fast. It happens overnight. I mean, the other chef. There's a problem with chefs on TV at the moment.
Yeah.
Now the next one, our friendly 10th Doctor. If we're talking about learning lessons, pulling back, being careful. What was it? A year ago, David Tennant was going mad about, the future leader of the opposition, saying he hopes she just disappears.
Yeah.
Bad or not. And last year at the BAFTAs, when his star was still rising, he upset Cate Blanchett. That's a bit of a whoopsie. So David Tennant says he will tone down his jokes after offending Cate Blanchett. Isn't it funny, Rachel, that every stand-up comedian says there's hardly any chance to do humour nowadays. You have to be so careful. Meanwhile, an actor who hasn't got that experience, goes in the BAFTAs and just takes a risk. Talk about feeling overconfident, eh?
Yep. I'm just gonna do it, even though I've seen comedians get cancelled or told off because they said something that was inappropriate.
Yeah, did he feel very safe that he was on the right side of the argument?
That's probably what it was.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
think
I
so
mean, he said
too.
that stuff about Kemi Badenoch, that was it. Like, oh no way, no.
Yeah.
You know.
So
So
yeah.
yeah, good. I'm glad. You know,
So,
tell funny jokes by all means, but
yes, he's not Ricky Gervais.
no.
Ricky Gervais did it extremely well. Was it the Golden Globes or something? He was very good. How he
Ricky Gervais is very clever, and
Yes,
you know, he, he quite often says though that the person who is offended, well, that's on them. So in many respects,
yeah.
you could actually look at the offence in this by like Kate Blanchett.
Mm.
Well, she's got the issue, not David Tennant. Kemi Bate not I'm sticking up for David Tennant, just to be clear, because I don't think what he said was appropriate. But then and then like Kemi, what you said about Kemi Badenoch and telling her to shut up, you know, obviously she's got an issue with that. So then that's her problem. But it's not a joke, you know, it wasn't
No,
funny.
no.
But you know, Ricky Gervais is like, yeah, it's the person who is on the receiving end of the joke or the whoever, they're the ones that I've got a problem with. If you're offended, then that's your problem. You know, you just can't see where the joke is.
Yeah, I mean, you have to take it. I mean, they call it a roasting in America, don't they? I mean,
Yeah.
you know, they actually face it. But it is actors, Rachel, and you've worked with that. You know, some of them. You were pretending you were a tree, which is
Mhm.
getting your thick skin developed.
Yes.
But some of them, I think, needed to do. Did they miss out on the tree training?
Well, maybe. I was playing an oak tree.
Oh, long lasting. You didn't get
Yeah.
any Dutch elm, though, did you? You didn't
No,
know.
no, I didn't. Thank goodness.
I'm terrible. When I did drama, if they said you're an oak, I'd have said, "Oh, I've got a disease," and flake out. Yeah. Oh dear, I'm a sapling. Bye. It was a windy day. So anyway, as somebody was saying, he's wearing curtains again. Obviously, oh no, he's out there, isn't he, with his fashion? He has. I can only deduce he's a confident chappy.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say so.
He believes in his personality. He
Yeah.
believes in his acting ability. Well, he can
Yeah,
really,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and he believes that he can. Everything he touches turns to gold. Um, an actor trying to be funny, I think, is a bit risky. Leave it to the comedians.
Leave it to the comedians and only broach comedy if it's written in your script or
Yeah,
it's improvisational.
I always find it bad enough at these awards. You know, when you get a male and female presenting actor. Excuse me,
Mm.
I'm being very careful there. You know, you get a male and female come up, and they've practiced some stupid repartee, haven't they?
Mm.
And oh god, you think, yeah, it's never been seen before, and ooh, and oh, thank God you've been practicing that in the changing rooms, have you? Wow, that
Mm.
just get on with it. You know, milking it every time. It's all about ego, isn't
Oh, yeah, they're very dramatic, a lot of them.
it?
I
He
don't
doesn't
know
go
what
to.
to
He was on the one show tonight. We'll have to chase that up because Dalek Lives Matter says. I know he was on the one show. Yeah, Tennant looked like a middle-aged man dressed like a 10-year-old. Mutton dressed as lamb. We used to say. I
Oh,
know.
my nan used to say that. I was literally just about to say, he is a middle-aged man.
Yeah, he's 50, isn't he?
Yeah, that's weird to think that, but
He's
yeah,
slim. He's
the
what he's
comment
got
the
for him is.
comment the comment was saying he was a middle-aged man.
I
He's
mean,
still slim.
he's slim and good for him in that way. He
Yeah.
might have very good metabolism. I've got a certain fella downstairs who has very good metabolism and
Mm.
can eat sugar and everything, and I can't. But yeah, fine. But you know, he made a mistake. I will acknowledge and I will say good. If
Mm.
he thinks he did make a mistake and he's going to pull back, that's good. He's
That's
changing.
that's good. He's acknowledged it. He's acknowledged it. I think probably the worst was what he said about
Yes.
Kemi Badenoch telling her to shut up. That wasn't appropriate. But yeah, fair enough. If he's going to put it back, then that's fine. It's entirely up to him. He
Yeah.
may have even been told that he needed to.
Yeah. Now
And it's not worth the disagreement with the public, is it really?
nah. So you see, we've had a lot of examples tonight of, and my main one with the RTD drama and where he thinks he's crusading for various things in Doctor Who and in a drama. And as I said in the preface, I think he's missing where we are. So I've got a few examples here, everybody. Donald Trump happily tweeted that Toyota had cut its LGBTQ plus support and halted sponsorship of all LGBTQ
Wow.
events. There's example number one. Example number two, Google has officially removed the Pride Month from its calendar app.
Oh, yes. Now that I heard about, and apparently that caused a massive meltdown. But it's with Google, it's not just Pride Month that they've removed. They've removed
There you
everything.
go.
It's just there you go. It's just a generic calendar now without any dates, and they said that you can add your own dates to it.
That's it. And I understand that. I think,
Yeah,
you as a
that's fine.
company, you might say, let's pull back from anything that looks semi-political.
Yeah.
So here's two examples where RTD might be just not quite hitting the money here. So Toyota pulls back, Google pulls back, and of course, and yeah, Pride Month, Black History Month, Holocaust Remembrance Day, the whole shebang. And then you see that the stocks decline for any company that's been whacking the DEI policy.
Yeah, yeah. Can I just say, what would it be outrageous for me to say that none of these companies care about any of this?
No, sorry. Yeah, you can of course say that. Yes.
Or like care about the consumer. They make it look like they're paying attention to you, but really at the end of the day, is it just for the checkpoints and making money?
Well, I think definitely. But the other thing is, and we said it last week, didn't we, Rachel? That they've they've all jumped the gun so fast that there can clearly have been no belief or conviction in it anyway.
Mhm.
It's
And
just too fast.
there's a fear of any sanctions that are going to be put against them, any funding cuts, things like that. Mm. Worcester City are gonna have a lot of, interesting things going on, even though that was not passed by law, but it'd
Yeah.
be interesting to see what happens.
But we started today's show with Taylor
Mm.
Swift being booed. And
Yes.
I think her learning that, oops, maybe I misspoke or people didn't like what I said, one or the other. Now we've got Toyota going, okay. We've got Google going, okay. We've got Disney going, okay. Hello. Meanwhile, RTD is going,
Hello.
come on. RTD's just going in the other direction completely.
Ooh, now that would make an interesting, thing, so to speak, because Disney are funding Doctor Who, so
Or are they?
or are they? Yeah, well, I question that, but if they come back and they do another series, which is debatable because of the new one that, RTD is doing, do you think, they might get in trouble for
So,
funding that?
yeah. Well, there's more on the
With the
DEI
sanctions?
and Disney and content disclaimers in a moment. But everybody, one of the items I trailed tonight, and I think Rachel's intrigued as well. I'm not sure if she knows, was the Wombles.
Yeah, right, I don't know anything about I know who the Wombles are, but I don't know anything about this.
Right.
Please enlighten me.
Everybody, have you all got a drink? This is actually quite, when it's a sliding doors moment. This really shows you how close we came to disaster, right,
Yep.
everybody? So here we go. Right. We all know and love the Wombles, Bernard Cribbins, those little 5-minute, oh, lovely, cozy TV.
Mhm.
And actually, Elizabeth Beresford, I used to read her books when I was in primary school,
Yep.
and I never dropped a piece of litter. There you go. And remember Bonnie Lanford in the movie version, Wombling Free?
I've never seen it.
Yeah,
I've only ever seen the TV show.
she does the lisp very well, she's
Oh,
very,
okay.
yeah, she does that. Anyway, so there's the Wombles, everyone. Do you know what I'm going to say next, everybody? Do you know what the danger has been with the... Oh, I'm ready. I'm dying to show you all. It is all true, this. Mike Batt revealed this. Are you ready?
Okay.
Right, I'll go big screen. Right.
Sis.
A near miss. Jimmy Savile auditioned,
Oh,
tested
no.
for the Wombles narration before they found Bernard Cribbins.
Oh, my goodness.
Here's a letter to me inviting me to try. I don't remember ever trying for it. I stuck to the music and singing. And then they found Bernard Cribbins later. They'd already chosen Jimmy Savile to do all of the Wombles.
Oh, my goodness.
So, as the letter says, so far we have not yet decided on an alternative voice to Jimmy Savile, and the market is open to anybody to try. So, he was the first person they tried.
No.
So, the world.
Oh, my gosh.
So,
I'm
when
floored.
when you think how much the world could have been different, we were talking about cancel culture. I was leading to this, which is if you're going to take Hugh Edwards out for a couple of seconds.
They'd have to take all of that off if it had been Jimmy Savile.
Yeah. I mean,
I can't believe that. Wow.
mind you, I also can't believe Bernard Cribbins has such a good voice for it.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And I couldn't even imagine Jimmy Savile doing that anyway.
No. And it just shows you how he had permeated so far into the BBC and everywhere that everyone thought he was a safe pair of hands and how wrong they were.
Oh my gosh.
It-
Oh my gosh.
I'll just show everybody again because it shocked me. And I think it's just when we talk about jumping the gun, cancel culture and all that stuff, there's the letter. Mike Batt released it. Okay.
And how long had he actually been sitting on that piece of information?
Yeah.
Is it possible that the BBC may have actually approached him and said, "No, don't mention it. Don't talk about it."
So
If
I
they
just
remembered, of course.
yeah. So I just thought, whoa, God. Oh, the Wombles would have just been a completely different show.
Completely different. And they'd have to get rid of it.
That would have been an expensive job because all those episodes and he does all the different. The thing is, Bernard Cribbins is an actor and he acted all the different voices.
Yes.
Jimmy Savile's just a DJ. I mean, really. He was a DJ who got lucky. He was a lead DJ who got lucky.
Yeah.
So there you go, folks.
Good
History.
grief.
Now
Good
this is
grief.
you keep sending me these, you little devil, you little
Oh, I'm such
researcher.
a monkey.
You know everybody. Rachel, she's going to do all
mhm.
her streams on this soon.
I
Juno
will
Dawson.
soon.
Yeah, Juno Dawson. She's doing all the research. And while we're talking about trans rights and gay rights and you know, being on the right side of stuff, I think you sent me this example to say in this case she was playing fair because
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. 100%. So I've left the book over there, but there is a section where Juno talks about homophobia and bullying.
Yeah.
All right. Homophobia, transphobia, and bullying, and how that's not acceptable. Bang on the money with that in school. And Juno's put in how you can deal with that in school, and everything that Juno put in, I actually agreed with.
Yeah.
And the way that it was laid out in this particular section of the book was clear, concise. It wasn't, like hun and all the types of language that had been used. It was just laid out plain, simple, straightforward. You could easily understand it. And the most important thing that Juno says is that, you go to the teacher, and if you are safe, you can tackle it yourself. And if not, this is what you need to do. You can also keep a diary and do this and this and this. Straight up. And I was like, okay, that I agree with. And if that book followed that sort of structure, I still haven't finished it, but very straightforward, then it might be an easier read. It'd certainly be a less confusing read. And I think less people would be angry about it.
Yeah.
But yes, I sent that bit to you because it really, I couldn't fault what Juno was saying
Well,
in that section.
I mean, I've said tonight, there's always nuance, and no argument can sound absolute. And while we've been a bit questioning and a bit wary about Juno Dawson's selection for Doctor Who,
Mm.
and we've picked examples which we might think worry us a bit, then we wanted to play fair. And, Juno Dawson was a teacher.
Yep,
You've been in teaching.
yep,
I've been in teaching.
yep.
And this advice is don't hold back. Don't stay quiet.
Yeah,
Don't let anybody trample over you.
exactly. And it's sort of it's the that's exactly the response that I would actually say, "Don't hold back. Don't let people trample over you." And anyone who is watching, because this bothers me just as much as someone who is bullying. Anyone who is watching and not telling a teacher, you're also part of the problem.
Yes. Well, exactly. That was the funny thing about that WhatsApp group of politicians, wasn't it? 'Cause none of them reported each other.
No, that
Yes.
makes you part of the problem. But
And
yes, straightforward, laid out, very clear, easy for a young person to understand.
yes, I haven't been ahead of you for many, many years.
Mm,
I always said, when they say, "Oh, I don't want to fuss. I don't want to make, I don't want to send it. I don't." I said, the longer this goes silent, the more the bully is empowered,
yes.
because the bullies survive
Yeah.
on silence because that's what they need. If they knew everyone was going to turn around and sprag or grass on you, nah,
Mm.
it's game over.
Yep.
So
Well,
yes,
I'll tell you a very interesting story about when I was at school. But yes, but before I do that, I actually sent what's on the page to Brendan here because I was interested to know if that would be the sort of thing that
mm,
the school would do.
yeah,
Yeah, you see.
yep. School,
Mm.
we had a massive bullying policy, as every school should.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, and but obviously I did assemblies, I was on it, and I know there's kids who are shy, and I know there's kids who find it very hard. It's
Yeah.
nice for an older adult to just say, do this, do that, but it's doing it for that little
It
kid.
is doing it for that child, and that's obviously a problem, but if you got someone who can say no, who is not necessarily a teacher or they've written it in a book, not necessarily a book like this per se, 'cause this book is not appropriate, but if it's there, then, they may take the advice from that book. But I
Yeah,
do agree with what Juno's written with regards to bullying. It shouldn't be tolerated. Zero
no,
tolerance.
no.
But just like I want so when I was at school, okay. Right, okay, you're gonna get some saucy details here. You'll be very surprised. I wouldn't let myself be bullied. I was very much the person who would do things that shouldn't be done to a bully, if they tried to bully me. So, word would get around, "Oh, no, don't do that to Rachel because she'll deck you." Basically.
Right,
She'll deck
you're
you.
not coming to the Christmas party.
And, that's what I would do. I would like, "Nah, I ain't telling the teacher I'm dealing with this." Straight up and just,
Yeah,
like, wallop them or give them verbal abuse back. So,
yeah,
basically, whatever they did to me, I would do it back to them, and they wouldn't get very far. Right, okay. And so when I went to my high school, they said, "Okay, one thing that you must not do is deal with the bullies yourself. You need to come and tell the teacher. Please promise us that you'll do that, and if you do that, you'll get a space." I said, "Okay." So I got a space at this school, and needless to say, I got bullied, and in my first year, I reported, and I reported, and I reported, but it was all verbal bullying, right?
yeah,
Okay, it was all verbal. So, of course, this person denied it, naturally, and so it wasn't investigated. It wasn't ever investigated properly. No one would follow up with other students because obviously other students were, witnessing it, and then one day the teacher did not show up for registration, and that's important. They have to show up to registration, make sure everyone is there,
yeah.
and actually supervise everyone for those, like, sort of like 15 minutes whilst you're waiting to go to assembly, and that didn't happen in this case, and this particular person threw a board rubber at my head, and I snapped. I was absolutely furious, and, so I chased him around the room, uh, He's about 6 foot at this point, grown a lot in a year. And I grabbed him and I kicked him twice and smacked him across the face and dealt with it that way. And the shock on his face
Yeah.
said it all. And then he ran and cried wolf.
Yeah.
Everyone else sided with him. I got suspended. My nan came and picked me up from school, and she took one look at this other boy who had also got suspended for a different reason. Okay, not for bullying me, right? And she said in front of his parents, "This is the boy that's been bullying you all year." And I said, "Yes." And she said, "And you hit him?" And I said, "Yes, sorry." And she went, "That's my girl. Come on, let's go." And then I apologized to my dad when I got home, and he's like, "You don't need to apologize for being suspended." And I said, "No, I'm apologizing because I had to chase him first." And then on Monday they had a full confession, but by that point, because I'd already been suspended, they wouldn't remove it from my record. But I was never bullied again, and any reports of bullying that came from me, I wasn't bullied again by that particular person. They actually fully investigated it.
You've taken me back to I don't know how many meetings. As a head of year, you were sometimes in meetings when a parent would come up and all the scenarios you've said.
Yeah.
The bully who just sneakily always gets away with it, gets away with it, and sometimes charms themselves around some teachers as well.
Yeah.
And then the kid who just snaps, and then for some reason the school go heavy on them. Now, I have to say to you, I was able to, in most cases, be insightful enough to go, hold on a minute here. That kid, Rachel, has never done this before. Come on.
Yep.
He's 6 foot. She's not. Away. What's going on here? There's more to it than that.
Yeah.
And
that didn't even send alarm bells ringing. I'd not hit anyone at the school.
No, I mean,
and I hadn't done since.
And you can see in parental faces. I mean, every parent who I've been in meetings with will say, I told them to fight back. And I, as one of those teachers who hopefully applies common sense rather than just recites a blooming policy, said, yeah, we need every kid to stand for themselves. Yeah. Now, it might get them into trouble, but they have to learn to defend themselves. Of course they do. Yeah. Yes, of course, in a perfect world, don't do this, don't do that. But if somebody's doing all this to you and getting you upset, you need to have it dealt with. And if the adults are rubbish, then yeah, you have to do it.
You end up dealing with it yourself.
And and I used to talk to bullies as well, of course, that was part of what I had to do.
Yeah.
And sometimes I would advise the bullies that you just better be careful, because when that person snaps, I'm not going to jump on them because you will deserve it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I bet you've seen it loads of times where they've lost it and they've just gone, I'm dealing with this myself.
Yeah, and I have to carefully follow a certain rule because I'm not the boss. But, and obviously the other parents then go, but I'm also, and a lot of the teachers are like, a bit like your parent. Yeah.
I mean, I don't condone violence. And I think the way Juno phrased it in the book was very well phrased. So,
however, there's been a report. Dalek Lives Matter says Rachel kicked my head in.
I suspect Dalek Lives Matter probably deserved it.
Our side, Rachel is the equalizer.
Savage, 100%.
It's all coming out now. I think you've done. You're going to be cancelled by next week. I'll have to get another presenter.
Oh no! Oh my gosh! Oh well.
So
I'll get over it.
James is agreeing with you as well, as in he's been through similar at school, and it's not. I know it's not. I know, and I won't laugh about that because it's horrible. Apparently, everyone in Rachel's school was a bully, and she decked them all. Yeah. Justified, of course.
Absolutely, 100%. By the way, where did you hear that rumor?
Reese Roder, your dad sounds like a legend.
He is. Thank you.
There you go. Turn that into a soundbite.
He still talks about that incident to this day.
Well, I'm quite right. He'll have been proud of you.
He was.
Yeah.
Nan was, and he was.
You see, we might be talking about Woke. Another day we'll be talking about Doctor Who, but ultimately we have to be talking about us, life. That's what it's about. I was bullied in high school. Sad to hear that, David. An older kid whose mum was the French teacher. Oh, here we go. Yeah, would
Yeah.
shake me down for spare change in the band room after everyone else had gotten their instruments. Bullies. You can watch Grange Hill. You can watch whatever's in your country about school. It's always the same, isn't it? They just find the person who they think will be reliably quiet.
Yep.
Or has been brought up on lovely manners, and so they can sniff out. They see respect as vulnerability, misplaced loyalty as vulnerability.
Yeah.
They have misplaced values. That's what they have.
Yeah.
Anyway, there you go. Good old Juno Dawson on that one.
Yeah.
Now, just to keep everybody up to speed, the zeitgeist is changing. This is the American Air Force, and they have taken any references to DEI out.
Good. I'd like people to fly planes safely.
Yep. So gender ideology and all that is now out the window. This is now going to be merit-based.
As it should be.
Yeah. So they really are attacking all that stuff. So, yeah, the whole thing's so the world is changing over there.
Yeah.
Now, meanwhile, Disney, hot foot in it. Disney is stepping back from some DEI efforts as Trump takes power. That's just to remind everybody what we already know. Now, this one is a slightly different point. Disney Plus are to change the content warnings ahead of Dumbo, Peter Pan, and more old movies amid DEI strategy shift.
Right. Okay.
Just like we've got trigger warnings on various stuff. In November 2019, Disney first added content warnings to movies such as Dumbo.
Yep.
Due to racist depictions found in the films.
The crows, I expect.
Yeah. This program is presented as originally created. It may contain outdated cultural depictions, is what it used to say.
Okay. Yeah.
Now it has reverted the content warning back to a version of the one inserted in 2019. Now, if I just show you the next slide, it now says, I'll go bigger. This program includes negative depictions and or mistreatment of people or cultures. These stereotypes were run then and are run now. Rather than remove this content, we want to acknowledge its harmful impact, learn from it, and spark conversation to create a more inclusive future together.
Okay.
Disney is committed to creating stories with inspirational and aspirational themes that reflect the rich diversity of the human experience around the globe. And then Dumbo's finished. So by the time you've read that, the movie's over. I mean, oh my God. Is that a word salad?
It's a bit of a word salad. Most people, well, they just turn it on and they just watch it. You've got to remember, you've got to go in, excuse me, with the thought of, this movie, film, animation, whichever you're watching, is a product of its time. So, you got it. It's not reflective of perhaps what's going on today. You've just got to remember that it's a product of its time. And back then, that would have been more acceptable than it is now.
I just think, I don't know if this is a progress. It just, to me, it's a bit more of a word salad. It's like, oh, come on. I still call it, I bracket it as infantilizing us. We can't deal with it, apparently. I mean, God, Peter, I mean, dear.
What was the content warning that they put before Peter Pan?
I'm trying to think. What's the Peter Pan issue?
Red, I can't talk.
Oh, the Red
Indians. I got stuck on a word.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet it's their song. Yeah.
Well, is this the Greg Smith? Disney has completely erased Son of the South.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Not available on streaming or physical. Do we? Right. Just my question is, I can't remember the song, but
Zippity doo dah.
Is it?
Zippity doo dah.
So what? Should that be cancelled? I mean, sorry, am I missing something?
They believe that. I think it was taken off because it was inherently racist or something.
Okay.
But I think Zippity Doo Dah is from Song of the South.
Okay. I mean,
but to be honest with you, when was Song of the South made? I can't remember now. That in many respects is, quote unquote progressive, because wasn't a black man the lead?
I'd have to know, but
I can't remember. It's been such a long time.
I just wish, you see, who's in charge of this cancellation and erasure? Who are these people? Do you know what? I was on the program today saying you can't, because they were talking about burning of the Quran and whether that's a crime and, all the stuff that
Yeah.
goes on. And then they were saying, oh, you've got to be very careful because burning of the books in the Second World War, whoa, and you think, right, hold on a minute here. Burning of books, if you're saying that's fascist, is the person who's in charge of erasing everything doing the same thing as burning books? I'm sorry, but who said this person's in charge? Who said this person knows everything? And this is a similar one for Warner Brothers. The cartoons you're about to see are products of their time. They may depict some of the ethnic and racial prejudices that were commonplace in American society. Do you know what? Oh, so worthy, so amazing. But why don't they, for a 2025 program, say, we're going to kind of have,
Why can't they have just left it as the first few lines? The cartoons you're about to see are products of their time. Fair enough. They may depict some of the ethnic and racial prejudices that were commonplace in American society. Why can't they have just left it as that? Because then they've gone on to say these depictions were wrong then and wrong today. While the following does not represent the Warner Brothers view of today's society, these cartoons are being presented as they were originally created, because to do otherwise would be the same as claiming these prejudices never existed. They could have just left it as the first 4 lines and that would have been absolutely fine.
You know why? Because they needed to put that bit in. We as an organization, although we're showing
the distance.
Yes, we want our cake and eat it. We want to show that we're very careful, but we also don't want you to associate us with this because we don't want to turn into John Barrowman or anybody else who's been cancelled unfairly out there.
Yeah.
But we want to have our cake and eat it.
Oh, and all for a word salad, very wordy. You could just say products of the time. This was what it was like back then.
Yeah, or I could actually sometimes say,
thank you, man. Or
yeah,
you just doesn't have to say anything at all.
I might say the word coward and say, look, if you really believe that, don't ever show the program and have the courage of your conviction.
David Hardin's put something very interesting. Were they wrong back then, or are they wrong back then when looked through the eyes of someone from today?
Yes, there's a lot of revisionism going on.
Yeah.
And who said that the people judging today are not going to be judged tomorrow as wrong as well?
Yeah.
Therefore, let's all, as a society, get off our high horse. Dalek Lives Matters. We're talking about the Son of the South here. He or she says it's not offensive. It shows a positive depiction of ethnicity. Then RP comes in and, it's all different opinions. I just wish I had the material. Son of the South was set after the American Civil War, and some people found the character types a bit offensive. And I think that wording is interesting there. Some people found it offensive. Others might. Was it intended? I always used to say, is it intended to be offensive? If it's intended to be the best depiction they could do at the time with what they what they were dealing with then, we can all sound brilliant in hindsight, but are we? Right. Okay. And of course, whatever our list, it's interesting that they're retreating from certain positions because, unfortunately, it's called a pride event, but some of the people in many countries who are associated with it, unfortunately, get themselves into trouble. And therefore, the word, I've always said the word pride is a bit strange anyway. Go on a gay rights march if you need to fight for some rights. I've got none I need to fight for now. Thank you very much for the country. We seem to have equality as a gay man. But so I've got nothing to fight for in that regard. I'm just grateful. So I don't know why we now do pride. I mean, it's a concept I don't understand. 1 minute I'm closeted and the next minute I'm supposed to be going down the street being proud. It's a big jump.
It's a huge jump.
I just want to do a march. It's called Live. I'm just living. I'm just living.
Just live for today.
Yeah. So, I always find it ironic. No, sorry. Now, here we go.
Everyone likes labels at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, here we go.
This one.
I'm being very serious now. I'm sorry. Get my serious face on.
Okay.
According to George Lucas, the creator, let's not forget that, Luke Skywalker has always been straight. Mark Hamill, is just desperate for attention. but seeing Captain Kirk dunk on him is hilarious because he
Oh, with William Shatner. What did he say?
So William Shatner says, for those Star Wars fans who are trying to tell me Disney ruined everything, I assume you are referring to, and he's goes here. Mark Hamill actually ruined it for you when he revealed Luke was gay. Mara being struck from Star Wars canon was part of an annulment agreement from the Force. And of course, Vanity Fair was looking at this kind of Luke Skywalker is gay. I'd never heard this before. Apparently, it's from an article a few years ago. Had you heard it?
No, I wasn't even aware of this. I mean, that's how much traction it obviously gained. I mean, I'm not the massive Star Wars fan. I've seen all of them at least once up until like the first Rey movie. And then I was like, what on earth is this? And then noped out. Yeah, I've not heard of that. That's a new one. That's interesting.
So Luke, feel the Force. I don't know. I'm going to put a mask on you, and I want you to sense things. I tell you what, this could have been. What was that? What was that movie that everyone talked about years ago? Was it 9.5 Weeks? What was it? The one with Mickey Rourke and somebody else, and it was.
I don't know.
Yeah, there was one that everyone used to say, have you seen that? It's a bit sexual, and of course. And then the one with Nicole Kidman when she was married to Tom Cruise, Eyes Wide Shut, was it?
Something like that, yeah.
And it was all a little bit, and Luke, put the helmet on, feel the Force. it gives me a completely different insight into this character, but it's his true. Because you know how they've done this with Doctor Who. Some of these people who like to read into everything, Tegan was bedding Nyssa, all this nonsense. This retrospective. I didn't ever see Luke Skywalker with a girlfriend, I have to say.
Nor do I, but I always assumed that he was straight because that's how it came across.
Yeah, well, he fancied Leia, didn't he?
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. And Harrison Ford beat him to it. That's what happened there. So I remember in The Empire Strikes Back, he was trying to impress Leia. And of course, Harrison Ford, by not trying to impress Leia, actually got noticed. It was a classic case. Never be the good boy in class because the girl always notices the bad boy. That's how it always felt.
That's how it always works.
Yeah. So I thought Luke Skywalker was being me, which is you want to impress somebody, but then never just don't be over, attentive. Just turn the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Luke Skywalker, everybody, did you know that? Are you going to put his toy away now?
Yeah, Luke.
Yeah, Luke wasn't playing with girls; he was playing with his saber. Oh,
even though George Lucas says he's straight.
Yes, let's remind ourselves the creator. Oh gosh, can we do that with Doctor Who? Can we have somebody like Gene Roddenberry who says, "No, the Doctor was always asexual. No, the Doctor." I wish somebody would come down from
the one person really that we could ask is no longer with us, and that would be Verity Lambert. But
yeah, I know.
Verity.
We do. Give us 3 knocks. No, 4 knocks. 4 knocks.
Wait.
Is RTD being a naughty boy? 4 knocks for yes.
Sorry. I just wish that she could actually tell us that. I mean, I'm pretty sure I know what she would say.
I know. We miss a Gene Roddenberry for Doctor Who. We miss a George Lucas for Doctor Who. We need somebody who says, RTD, you've gone too far. Wind your neck in.
We could just ask one of the people that are still alive from Classic Who, I guess you could say, who know it just as well. I mean, who does know it just as well? I mean, we've not got Terrence Dicks anymore. No Malcolm Bulk.
No Robert Holmes. No David Whittaker.
No David Whittaker.
No JNT.
No JNT. Oh yeah, JNT would have told us if he was still with us. Yeah,
Eric David's still around. Andrew Cartmel, although he went a little bit kind of, But David Harding, to be fair to Luke, there weren't too many other women in Star Wars during his era. And once Leia was outed as his sister, there was really no one for him. It was quite sad.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it was hard. It was hard for him, And of course, it was a rural life. He was a farm boy. And, he's with his aunt and uncle, wasn't he? And I think he was playing with the droids too much. To me, I was comparing. It was an analogy to an old boys' school. He was too busy playing with the droids that he didn't really know how to interact with a girl. That's, I think, his problem. So,
is Philip Hinchcliffe still alive?
Yes.
Ah,
Yeah. We could ask him. Philip, come on board. But isn't it interesting? David Harding, good call out here. We're crossing the media here, aren't we? George, Sulu wasn't too happy when they made Sulu gay in the Kelvin Star Trek films. Yeah, and we know George is gay himself, but he never played the character as gay.
No, he never did. That just shows that he's a good actor, even if people disagree with his opinions.
Oh, you didn't mess with Sulu? I wouldn't have messed with Sulu. No. Martial arts.
Why did they change his sexuality?
It makes it so right on. It turns me right off. I just think, no, just get on with the story. But I love it. William Shatner, he's about 90. He's like Tom Baker, isn't he? He's a healthy chappy, isn't he, William Shatner? And
still going.
Yeah, and a bit of Canadian there. I'm sorry, I'm not taking any of this. And even though it's not my franchise, I'm going to bool in there, and I'm going to call out anyone who doesn't make any common sense. Classic. Love it. So here we go on this one. I know football's not your favorite, but it's just the principle. Here we go, everybody. So I talk about screeching of brakes and changing topic. Okay, no booze in the 2034 Football World Cup. LGBTQ fans are welcome, says the Saudi ambassador. Well, I'm not going.
Really?
I'm a mad football fan, and I'd love to go to a World Cup, but I won't go to the Qatar one, and I won't go to the Saudi Arabia one. So they are depriving me of World Cups. The kingdom has banned alcohol, which is prohibited for observant Muslims. By the way, I'm not an observant Muslim. It was not sold at stadiums in Qatar where drinking in public is illegal, blah, 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 blah. But the Saudi Arabian ambassador did say that LGBT visitors are welcome. Now, it's a country where homosexuality remains illegal, but enforcement of the laws apparently is not universal as it used to be. If I just jump to the right slide, but am I going to go there on this possibility that some of the penalties for acts of homosexuality are capital punishment, prison sentences of whatever length, fines, flogging, or deportation? I'm going to just go there on the off chance, am I? We welcome you.
Because what if you run into that?
Yeah.
There's no guarantee that you're going to be safe from that.
No. What do I do?
That's why I was surprised when you said it. I was like, what?
And we know on migrant rights, it's not a brilliant place. Shall we just kind of be a bit honest here?
Yeah.
And so, number one, I don't know why these countries end up getting these major events when actually, I remember when London was bidding for the Olympics and we had to look as though we're right pious little devils. Yeah, so they're saying to gay soccer fans, you'd be safe to attend. Oh, thank you. We will welcome everybody in Saudi. It's not a Saudi event, it's a world event. Yeah, well, yeah. But the point I wanted to make, to then link to some other points and some you sent me, was that the Saudi ambassador said, we will not compromise our culture or any of our laws just because you're visiting our country. And I'm just thinking, am I allowed to say the same thing about anyone coming to this country?
I see what you're getting at.
Yep. Do you see what I mean? It's fascinating. Because when values collide, they don't just kind of coalesce. That something happens. One goes there, or they clash. So yes, he told the radio just the other day, rather like our weather, it's a dry country. Everyone has their own culture. Well, ours is getting eaten. Yeah, good for you. I don't know if we have a culture because we're getting told it's rubbish. We're happy to accommodate people within the boundaries of our culture, but we don't want to change our culture for anyone else. Now,
So how does that work?
Well, it's called that they respect their own boundaries and values, whatever they are. But every time if we say, "Oh, I don't quite like what's happening at the moment in Britain," we get told, "Well, you're on the wrong side of history. Bog off."
We do, yeah. But
And
we wouldn't be able to go out there and try and make changes out there. Like
no,
if you went out there and say, "No, no, no, you know, you have to accept people who are gay, lesbian, bisexual," that wouldn't be allowed.
as I said earlier on about respect and women and trans and all the rest of it, that everybody should have respect. I wouldn't go to Saudi Arabia because I know what I am and I know what their laws are, and they don't meet in the middle.
Yep.
I'm not going
No, it's
because
not worth it.
I have to ultimately respect that their country doesn't match my values. So therefore, I won't go there. But I won't go there and sit there with a placard saying your laws have to change, because I'm kind of respecting that they're in a different place. But then I would expect the same respect here.
Yeah, but we don't get it.
No, and this is where I get slightly scared, Rachel, because I'm still a gay man. The
Yeah,
gay man that's not going to Saudi Arabia for the World Cup.
yeah,
But then there may be people who think a bit like the Saudi Arabians do, who live here now, who don't like my presence. And that concerns me. Now, if those are the dark times RTD wants to write about, I'm on board.
that would
Because
be interesting.
yeah, because I don't feel necessarily safe. That I know there's people who have certain values that are all about I shouldn't exist, I should be dead,
Mhm.
I'm an abomination. I mean,
That would be a good way of, like, tackling it I said tackle it from different perspectives. That would be a really good thing to perhaps approach it with. How?
and that's what I mean. I wish the apparent progressives were honest about it's all complicated.
Yes, it's
Um,
very complicated.
Now, and the complication gets worse, Rachel. Here's this. Did you see this the other day on various channels that there was a, there's an event for Ramadan, which I think is around now, isn't it, actually?
Yes.
And it was called Together as One. And you can see it was in various venues in Britain.
Yep.
But then they researched that some of the speakers had horrific notions of what is acceptable practice for a human being to a child.
Yep.
And as long as you pray,
Yep.
you are absolved.
Yep. Yeah.
Um, I,
Yeah.
and I,
That's
and I,
not our religion.
and well, we're a secular society now, and
Yeah.
we have as much distaste for the Catholic Church when they're covered up stuff, and the Church of England, who has now covered up stuff. We have as much distaste for them all when they are double standards.
Yeah.
And so we should be allowed to say there's another religion here that seems to be saying by some of its speakers,
Mm.
that as long as you pray, you are absolved of doing
Sin.
things with sex with kids and all the
Yeah.
rest of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely appalling.
Doesn't make it right.
No, because it's never right. Ever. And there's no blurring of lines. Ever. And so
It sounds like it's the most open one. As in, like,
yeah.
yeah.
So it when I looked at the Saudi Arabian ambassador saying, we believe in our values in Saudi Arabia and we're just not budging them, if you
Yep.
don't mind. I mean, he didn't have that bit, that must have been a bit. Yeah, okay. I have to respect that, even though it may not match how I believe the worldview is.
Yeah.
But then it looks like that's what's being imposed here.
Yeah.
And that people were coming to the country near where I live and were going to be saying things at a venue that were really challenging whether I should exist.
It's not appropriate, is it?
Now, what I'll do is I'll talk through my examples of this. If you want to just go and look up whatever you're going to look up,
Yeah.
and I'll see
Okay.
you in a moment, right?
In a moment.
Okay, doc. So this is what I mean, folks. I mean, what do you all think? I'm trying to be very fair and very careful, just because I do want to respect everybody's belief if you have one. But equally, I want my value and my existence respected as well. You know, that one proviso I want there, please. And this was scary. So basically, a few organizations and journalists have researched this, and we're still asking our Home Secretary whether these people should be banned from coming here because their values were basically endangering other people. And you know, I have to, and I don't want to keep saying I'm a gay man, but the point is, it's a very relevant to what actually might happen in the next few years. As Adrian Sherlock says here, anyway, I'm just fed up with the way our culture has been devalued. This is what I mean, Adrian. In a way, when the Saudi Arabian ambassador said, you know, we won't budge our culture, that's their position. And I just thought I would never hear a politician in my country say that. We seem to say, no, we have to allow everybody to assimilate. We all have to blend together, blah, blah, blah. And I might even think that's okay in part. But then there has to be a part where that person who comes also compromises too. And I just think there's no such thing as a meeting in the middle or anything. But I mean, when I moved to Australia as an immigrant, and I know we're English speaking and there's shared history to a degree, but it's a different country. I still respected what they prioritized. And I do remember going to a job centre when I was backpacking around Australia in 1990. And when I went into the job centre, and it was a time when there was a lot of unemployment, and the Australian job centre worker said to me, and do you know what? I respected it. They said, Brendan, I know you're looking for work. There are an awful lot of Australians looking for work. We will prioritise an Australian before we prioritise a job for you. And I actually said, I understand that because they will be living here permanently, probably with families, and I'm just here for a good time for 1 year. I totally respected that idea, you know, and I that doesn't mean I'm anything. It just means I understand that sometimes some people might be prioritized over others, depending on whether they've paid tax for the last 40 years into the country or something like that.
Well, I saw today. Was it today? Yeah, it was today. In around where I was working, that they were promoting the mosque, the local mosque.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I could see a lot of people, you know, English people going, nah, 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 nah. They didn't want to know. Didn't want to know.
It's the clash of values that's always going to be the problem. I will respect somebody else's religion, but people who are religious should respect that you are an atheist. And that doesn't mean you're weaker in morals either. You know, and I have to say, we've become a secular country, and the healthy thing possibly about a secular country is we're very cynical, and we're very questioning of any religion and any zealotry and anything that goes too far, any religion. And that's kind of what we think in Western democracy is a healthy, critical thinking, but it's not allowed, it feels like, Rachel, to be applied to one or two religions about.
That's what it feels like. And with some of those religions being here in this country, there are some people that are like, you know, absolutely not, this is not going to happen. But there are some people who are mysteriously turning a blind eye to it.
Yeah, and there's certain things being said and done. Well, can I just say, I mean, I wanted to bring up this. I mean, I'm from Middlesbrough, and Chubby Brown is a stand-up comedian that some people hate, some people like, and he's from Middlesbrough. I'm just mentioning that as an example. But you know, Rachel, probably that Chubby Brown is cancelled from so many venues because his humour is either too sexist, they say, or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
too bawdy or too coarse. Yeah?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But you know, Jermaine Greer, the feminist, has been cancelled from some university platforms. You know that we've got speakers who university students get cancelled from being allowed a platform. And yet this was going to go ahead, and yet the speakers had said really, really bad stuff, criminal stuff for
Yeah.
our society.
Yeah.
It was criminal,
Mhm.
and they were challenging our thinking and saying that our age of consent was not their age of consent, and maybe we're therefore wrong. Sorry, respect the laws of that country. Don't challenge them. Back off, I would have thought, is the truth.
And I would have thought that would have been applied to any country.
Yes, just as I've said today, and I started it first, I respect the fact that Saudi Arabia can't stand my guts and hates what I am and wished I was dead. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, so that's a depressing thought and how this is all happening. And then you threw this at me as one of the examples of the fun judges this week.
Yeah, okay, so we obviously cannot, comment too much on this because it is actually still, within the, requirements of the court, but chicken nuggets. So, a man was set to be deported, after having his citizenship revoked or his, visa revoked, and, the judge ruled that, um, this person should not be deported because his son does not like foreign chicken nuggets. Now, the son is, I believe, actually born here in England, and the wife of this person is very like compos mentis within the confinements of English law, and very much able to look after the child. So yeah, it's just a bit of a it's a shocking one, but I think it's, now being reviewed. I don't know where it is, and I'm not going to comment on where it
Yeah,
is. I just thought it,
yeah.
it was shocking.
I think as a wider point, there seems to be certain lawyers who are almost acting like Trojan horses,
Yeah,
changing changing what was because every law of the country in Western democracies is set by politicians who are representing their people. So at some point, the law represents the populace, and the populace are certainly not agreeing with all these tweakings of
yeah,
laws in
yeah.
various circumstances. When I mean, the joke about Britain, never mind stiff upper lip, Rachel, isn't the other one that we love a queue?
Yeah, yeah, that's
And we
true.
don't like people who jump the queue.
No, we
And we
don't.
don't like.
We don't like people who jump the queue. Oh, I got on my high horse about one of that yesterday, I tell you that.
Go on.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I was working, and, I'd I do deliveries when I'm not doing my acting, and I'd given my delivery number and everything, and a load of people came into the room, and then the last guy that walks in, he comes in and he sits down whilst they're all waiting for the restaurant worker to come and collect their order number, and she comes out with my order and she shouts my number, and he then just pushes past absolutely everyone,
Mm.
and he shoves his phone in her face. And so
Ooh.
I went up whilst I was collecting my order, and I said, "He was here first, mate," like that.
Mhm.
And so the guy that was next to me said, "He's just trying to make money, love." And I went, "Doesn't make
Oh,
it
love,
right though, does it?"
love.
Yeah, and I was like, "It doesn't make it right though, does it?"
No.
You know, we're all in this room trying to make money, so what gives him the priority to jump the queue?
No. Come on. We can all claim a priority. That's why we queue. We know some countries, they just don't queue. But I respect the fact that in their country, they don't queue.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you see British tourists abroad, it's quite funny because we all tut. But everybody, it's like,
Oh, you haven't been to Japan, have you? They all queue very orderly in Japan, but
very
then
good.
as soon as that train comes, they all march past each other.
You see, this is what I mean. I mean, we do want cultural differences because they're funny. I
Yeah.
mean, this is what I mean. why change it? And so
I was first time I went to Japan, I was like, "Oh, this is nice. They're all cute. They're all cute." And then, I got absolutely steamrolled.
yes, there's
I
Rachel.
never did it again.
There's little Rachel, the little Brit abroad, saying, "I applaud you, Japan. Well done, well done." And then bang,
Bam! It was literally
and then you
bang.
go, "I don't applaud you anymore." Sorry.
Yeah. I'm like, no, I'm done with this orderly queuing. I'm just cool.
But don't you? But isn't it? I mean, it's those. We've all been in these farcical scenes as say as British people when, say, you're abroad somewhere and it's a situation we think is normally a classic queuing situation,
Yeah.
and we actually think we detect a queue, and then suddenly Johnny Foreigner, no, these terrible non-British people just just get on with their life, and you're going, excuse me. And I love this because who's in the right? Nobody. But I find it farcical. I find it so funny that why did the British think there was a rule system somewhere? Excuse me, form a line. No.
Make a queue, make a queue.
Yeah.
We think it should be universal,
Yes.
but it's not. A queue for this is for Eastland is actually a line. So when you line up to get something.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of circumstances when you think, oh, come on, have you ever been in a queue, but it wasn't a queue, it was just a crowd, and you're going, oh my God, I've been queuing for ages. I thought, but the queue was over there.
Yes, I've done that. Yeah. Or like when the queue's actually been in another area and I was standing in the wrong bit.
Yeah.
Not with that was pretty much the same thing, was it? Or you could do what my mum did, which was a classic one. This was years ago, going back years ago. My dad still goes on about it to this day. There was a group of people that were a queue of people lining up for the cash machine. And they left a gap in between just to, so you don't accidentally read each other's numbers, right? She paid absolutely zero attention to that gap and she just walked straight up and pushed right in front of someone else and shoved a card in the machine.
Yeah, but we have so many rules. I have to say, we have so many hidden rules in Britain, and you just learn it by osmosis. This is what culture does.
Yeah.
You learn that, I mean, and I've heard comedians talk about this, but 10 items or less, and you see somebody with a basket in front of you and they've got 25 items, and everybody in the queue behind is going, but nobody's saying it. Everyone's going,
it's got 25
and,
items.
And if you want Britain to revolt and have a civil war, don't go in the 10 items or less queue with a trolley.
Yeah, absolutely.
And everybody, but nobody's speaking. They're all doing it with eyes going. And it's classic. Whereas in some countries they go, well, there's no queue. I don't see the queue. And I don't see that sign, and I'm booling through. I've been at an airport, and I'm sure you have, Rachel, when it says hand luggage is 10 kilos, that's 25 kilos, the bag has to be this size. And then you see somebody who's just been to duty free and they've got 25 bags and they've got all this stuff, and somehow they get on. And they're thinking, what? They have these enormous bags, or they don't declare them. They have them with a relative who's not in the queue and all that. And when you get on the plane, they're taking over everywhere.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, and I'm being a little Britain then going, this is disgusting. What is going on here? How did they get?
I think one of the worst queues that I've ever seen, funny enough, was on an airplane. They were all queuing for the toilet. The air hostess had forgotten to unlock the door. I thought that was hilarious.
But it happens on a plane. Have you been on a plane when, for some reason, the trolley service that once started at one end, in the next meal service starts at the other end, or something weird, and then you're going, chicken, please. You're waiting for the chicken. It's chicken or lamb, and then when they get to you, going, there's no chicken, and you're going, there's no chicken.
Do you really experience that? Because I don't eat meat, so I get like the vegetarian option or the vegan option, depending on what they have. So mine's already automatically assigned. So that happens to you, does it?
Rachel, may I just say, behind your back, we're all cursing you because You know, because you lot get served before us. We're all
I
waiting.
am.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then we go, oh,
I'm
oh,
special.
yeah, she thinks she's it. Oh,
Yeah, I'm
what's
totally
special
it.
about her? And the ones who have their kids, they get their colouring books and everything's set up for them.
Mm.
And then there's you lot. And then
You lot, yeah, you group of people, yeah,
yeah,
you troublemakers,
yeah.
you.
Because the thing is, Rachel, you get served,
Yeah,
we're still waiting.
yeah,
By the
that's it,
time we are starting to
as it
eat,
should be.
you want to get yeah.
Go
But
on.
you finished your meal and you
Yeah,
want to
that's
get up and
right,
go to the loo. And we're
that's
going, I'm
right.
in the middle of a meal, love.
Love. Love.
Yeah, yeah. Excuse me, love. I'm still
Excuse me,
eating,
love, I'm still eating.
and you're going. I've digested. I'm moving on. But yes. I tell you
Vegetarian explains the violence. I had to eat meat when I was a child, so I'm hoping that I have some intelligence.
what. Oh, and Rachel, we could have gone on. Scarlett Johansson was kicking off about something AI
Yeah.
being used. There's many more we can cover, but we've
Mm,
got a life as well, haven't we? And
we do.
we've said them all. So I've got to ask you the wokest of them tonight.
Oh
So
gosh.
everybody, just before we go, we ask each other what did we think is the wokest item. So I will flash them back up just to give Rachel half a chance. Excuse me there. I'll go big so you can see them. So that's what we covered tonight. Is there anything that catches your eye there?
Goodness me, there's so many.
I know, I know. Every week, I don't think there's a chance. And every week I'm thinking, oh my God, it writes itself.
Literally writes itself. Ooh, 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 ooh. I'm going to actually go with the football in this one. Saudi Arabia World Cup, no culture compromise.
Yeah,
Mm,
funny enough, I've done a couple of weeks when I've gone on the Doctor Who news, so to speak. But I actually think myself, and it was what I was getting a bit impassioned about, wasn't it? I just think while we're getting told one thing that
yeah,
to be very it's not woke, is it? Just to be very culturally sensitive. We should do this. We should compromise. We should this. We should just respect everybody and everything. Blah. And then suddenly you get another ambassador from another country saying, "Bog off. We do it our way. And if you
yeah,
don't like it, bang."
yeah,
And you just think it's that easy.
yeah, yeah. No,
So
it's yeah. I think that's probably yeah. That's definitely the one I would choose.
it's because you kind of see a double standard going on
Yeah, that's the word. I was trying to think what it was. It is a double standard, very much
because
so.
we're all on one world, and apparently we all want multiculturalism, and we all want all these things. Apparently, I keep getting told what I want, and so I have to compromise and
Mm,
respect, and we
yeah.
try our best. But then other countries are going, no. I mean, you go to Japan. Japan's quite still a homogenous
Oh,
society, still,
yeah,
isn't it?
very much so. Very much so. Very conservative
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
So it is allowed in some.
When I left, I think they'd only just legalized gay marriage, or was it just after I left? I can't remember now. But they're very much behind the times. They had an awful stigma over there of um was it Valentine's Day? They used to prepare these cakes, and they used to look like the Japanese flag, and there used to be they yeah, there's red fruit in the middle, and they used to sell it for like Valentine's Day or
Yeah.
something. And then the following day, they would reduce it so that all the single women could go and buy cake and drown their sorrows. There's a stigma of not being married by the age of 25, or there
Oh my
was. I
God.
don't know if they've got rid of that yet, but
Wow.
there was a stigma. So
Wow.
I was the stigma. Not that I cared.
Nah. Oh dear me. Well, I will quickly advertise my stuff and then I'll ask you, of course,
Of
Rachel. Don't
course.
worry. So, earlier today we did do the detox. You may have seen it, everybody. If not, it's there. So basically, earlier today we had the Doctor Who detox when we looked at season 12 retro. 20 years of New Who, it's coming up. And we talked about various other items as well. It was a fun one, as per
Mhm.
usual. Now, just before I ask Rachel what her streaming is doing for the next few days, this is what I'm doing because I'm off to Spain. So next week, everybody, will you please look out for the Kinder review? Oh, and yes, it's got all your favorite items in it, Sutek and everything. The intimacy watch. And I asked the question: is this an imperfect gem, or has Doctor Who been too ambitious with that one? What's relevant with Kinder is I also have a lovely chat with Hugh, and we talk. It's in my mini series called The Magic of Doctor Who, and this one's called A Madman in a Box: Lunacy, Madness, and Mental Illness in Doctor Who. It's a touching, sensitive, and fun discussion covering all 61 years of Doctor Who. And Hugh, as usual, is very upfront about various things. So please look out for that. And one of our other friends on our channel, one of our the Contrarian, he's got a lovely talk. He's the celestial videotape engineer, right? And he's worked on Kinder, 5 Doctors. He's got interesting stories about Earthshock and all the rest of it. And he also was one of the early people ahead of his time colorizing Terror of the Autons, Ambassadors of Death. So look out for that one. And of course, my final one is there'll be another review, 50 years, the Sontaran experiment. Is this sadistic 2-parter more pain than gain? So there's some fun items next week. Now, Rachel, of course, you are Queen of the Walk. Chat about it, don't shout about it. So what's coming up on your diet of goodies?
Oh, well, so you may notice in the next week or so that my schedule may change a little bit. Just a word of warning there. Just to actually go back to more of the roots of how I actually started out when I started the channel. So just keep an eye out. I actually haven't fully decided what's going to happen as of yet, but there will be a video tomorrow. On a Saturday, which was originally one of my video days anyway. So if you want an indication of what we're going back to, then that's pretty much going to be that. But I need to actually look into it in more detail. So video tomorrow on the RTD stuff, and where I stand on whether or not this means that the Disney deal is off. Then on Sunday, we've got Doctor Who Sunday. And this one is a cover video, so it's a Jodie Whittaker story. So I know some of you don't like Jodie, so it's up to you. But and then Monday and Tuesday, I haven't decided what I'm covering yet. So we'll see. But basically, lots of things going on. If you notice that a video is missing, it's because I am also going away as well.
Yeah, we both have a life, but we've both been very productive, and it's just I'm going away a week, you're going away for a few days, aren't you? I think. Yeah. SG, the Who Pets are going clubbing. Oh yes, me and Jamie have got a major packing decision. Out of the 8 Who Pets, which 2 are coming? Because it's normally William Walkie, but we've got other ones, and we will film items, and the Who Pets are in some of our Niagara items in those reviews. We've got them in there. So yes, lots to think about. So please, on my behalf, Kinder, Sontaran experiment, and mental health, lunacy, madness, interesting take, and Simon Anthony telling us about what he got up to behind the scenes at BBC. So there you go. Get on Rachel's channel. Look after mine while I'm going walkies, and I'll see you in about a week's time.
Yes.
Back to normal.
Switch on the notification bells as well.
Exactement. So, and as Adrian Sherlock says, as I leave, Sontaran experiment was my introduction to Doctor Who. Well, you can enjoy that while I'm away. Right, Rachel, it's been a pleasure again. And I think we've learned a lot about you tonight.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Don't hold it against me. I know nothing.
I don't think you're the queen of the walk anymore. You're the queen of the choke. Don't mess with her. She's the equalizer. Anyway, good night, everybody, and thanks.
Okay, good night, everyone. Thank you.